everyone. We are now going to go over the flow plots from a mediastinal mass biopsy from an 18-year-old boy who had an 8-centimeter mediastinal mass. So let's start with CD45 versus side scatter as usual. And you see that pretty much all of the cells are sitting here where the CD45 is kind of dim to bright and the side scatter is low. And let's see how much these cells account for. They are like 92.9%. So almost all of the cells are in this gate. There are some cells here in the monocyte gate or maybe some in the granulocyte, some in the lymphocyte gate, but majority are all clustering together. Now, we know that in the mediastinal mass, the main differential diagnosis as far as hematopathology is concerned is thymus and T lymphoblastic leukemia. So now let's follow this population to identify whether it is thymus or T lymphoblastic leukemia or if it is totally something else. So if we go, so this is a T cell tube. And if we go over the plots, we can see that CD3 is partially positive. So this is surface CD3. And we can see that there is a population that is brightly CD3 positive. There is a population that is CD3 negative, and there is also a population that express variable levels of CD3. They are all negative for 16 and 56. And when you see 4 and 8, this is a very important plot when it comes to mediastinal mass. So this is a typical plot what you will see in a maturation, in a normal maturation. So you have a population here that is CD4 and 8 positive, and then it is going towards maturing towards CD8 in one direction and CD4 in other direction. So it's a dynamic population. So if you remember in the previous chapter, we saw 4-8 double positive cells, but we saw that all of the cells were just clustering at 4-8 double positivity. They were not moving towards being 4 or 8 positive. So here we have a population that is 4-8 double positive, and there is a population that is just 8 positive and a population that is just 4 positive. So this is how thymus will present like. So you can compare and contrast these plots with the plots in the previous chapter to identify and to differentiate between thymus and T lymphoblastic leukemia. This dynamic population is the key for thymus. And also, if you remember, CD7 is consistently and brightly expressed right from the beginning of T cell maturation, right from the pro T cells in the bone marrow until even in the mature T cells. So it's consistently expressed throughout. But one thing we can see is that 7 sometimes kind of gets dimmer. It's kind of brighter in the precursor stages. It may get a little dimmer in the mature stages, but otherwise 7 is just brightly positive. And with 5 starts with being dim and then it becomes brighter. So you have like a dim 5 that becomes brighter as it matures. So the cells that we see in red and green here are actually 4 and 8 positive cells. This is kind of hiding behind this black population, and so it's not very prominent, but the 4 positive cells are painted red. So you can actually see that here, and maybe some in here too, some in here, but the black population is kind of hiding it. And the 8 positive T cells are painted in green. And CD2 is another marker which is starting in the earlier stages. It starts to get expressed, and especially when it reaches thymus, CD2 is already positive. So you see a consistent expression of CD2 here. And like I said, 7 starts with being brighter, and then as the cells mature, it gets a little dimmer. And CD3 starts with being negative and then goes to become positive. CD5, here it shows very beautifully that it starts being negative, then dim, and then goes to become brighter as the cells mature, and brightest at the mature T cell stage along with CD3, that is surface CD3. CD10 expression is lost as the cells mature. So if you remember in the subcapsular thymocytes, CD10 is positive, but as they move through the cortex through various phases of maturation, they are lost, and finally in the mature stages, they are not seen. So CD10 goes from here all the way to this. So that's how the maturation pattern for 10 is. Same plots showing a different view, like CD10 and CD3, how they are expressed. Initially, it is just 10 positive, surface CD3 negative, and then that it moves to becoming CD10 negative and starts starts expressing CD3 on the surface. Finally, it is just CD3 surface positive. So you have to remember that this is just surface CD3. We are not talking about cytoplasmic CD3. Cytoplasmic CD3 is positive even before. So maybe even here cytoplasmic CD3 will be positive, but we are only talking about surface CD3. Surface CD3 expression starts only in the later stages, like when in the double, in the double positive stages or after that. Again, 2 is consistently positive, 3 is like variable negative from in the beginning variable and then brightly positive. And this was another plot where it shows CD34 expression in some of those cells. So if you remember the earliest precursors from the bone marrow, the pro T cells, those are 34 positive. So when they reach the thymus, when they reach the subcapsular stage, they will start losing their 34. But again, they will be just 7 positive. So that's what we are showing here. Those early precursors that are 34 and 7 positive, they quickly lose the 34, and then they're just 7 positive after that. And then here we have 34 and CD3, like at the 34 stage, there is no CD3, obviously. And there's not even cytoplasmic CD3 at that stage. So here they start getting positive for CD3. So this is how a normal thymic plots will look like. So you have to remember how these plots show the smearing pattern of maturation, unlike the ones that we saw in the previous chapter where they were all just clustering. So that's the clue. Look for a 4-8 double positive population moving towards 4R8. That's the most important plot actually. So when you report, how would you report? So we have to just describe what we see here, basically say that this is a thymic tissue. And when we write our description, we mention that we see both a mixture of immature and mature T cells. And the immature T cells include surface CD3 negative T cells with bright CD7, dim CD5, and are double positive for 4 and 8. And the mature T cells have surface CD3, CD5, and CD7, and they have either CD4 positive CD8 negative cells are either CD4 negative, CD8 positive cells. So this pattern is consistent with Thymus, correlate with the tissue morphology. So this is what we are going to say. Thank you.